Hello and welcome to Buildings of Tomorrow. My name is Jon Lester, and in today's episode, we are talking about the decarbonisation of district heating. I'm really happy and excited to be joined today by Roger Dahlstrand. He is the Sales Director at Cetetherm. Roger, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So today we're talking about district heating and we're talking about decarbonising district heating. Before we jump into the energy efficiency, the sustainability aspect, could you give us a quick summary? What's district heating? What does it mean? What do we refer to when we talk about district heating? And why is it important for us? Where do we see it?
Well, district heating, I would say that is one of our our biggest, most unknown heating sources we have all over the world, mainly in Europe. It is a grid, similarity to the electrical grid we have, but it's pipes, and somewhere in the cities we have a central heat source. Could be everything from wood to waste, garbage. We can use a lot of different terms of energy. So I always say that people who don't know what kind of heating source they usually have district heating. For me, that is some of good receipt of this. Yes.
Understand. So we're talking here about cities. We're talking about urban areas. We're talking, but is it always the cities, or is it sometimes in more communities, into smaller towns? How does that look from a scope perspective?
Yeah, and it varies. I would say even a small town has some sort of district heating because it has been during, I would say, last 25 years, a lot of political decisions taken in order to get district heating. So I would say that we have communities from 5,000 people up to 5 million people are using district heating. It is quite politically driven. We see that now as well during the situation we have. It varies. The trend now is that also even smaller areas are coming with very, very local district heating network in combinations then with other heat source than normal waste or burn facilities. So the development of the district heating and the direction it's taken, it's really interesting because we are changing from one energy source to a various number of energy sources.
Understand. Hey, before we jump into those energy sources themselves, maybe a quick question about why. Why is there this political push? Why is there this push towards district heating rather than more localized or more incremental heat creation?
I think it is mainly a cost issue, I would say. District heating, creating a new district heating network is extremely expensive. It takes a heavy investment. I mean, basically, you start from scratch. You have to build the fuel center. You have to build the grid, and also connecting all of these houses. And the matureness among the end customers also is important because normally, I'm just looking at myself. I already have a heat pump in my house. Why should I invest in heat pump? So there are a number of small facts which is taken into consideration, which makes it fairly complicated. Yeah.
And once we have it, so as you mentioned before, it's one of the largest sources of heating that we have globally in many different centers, large cities down to smaller communities, and it's there driven, it's centralized, it's there is let's say a cost hurdle to get there. But once we have it, what are some of the benefits? Once we have district heating installed, what are the core benefits of district heating itself and the technology as it stands today?
I would say for those people who have district heating, as I said earlier in this session here, the comfort is enormously high with district heating. You always have a safe supply of hot water, tap water. Heating is, I would be, if you have a problem, it's a major breakdown, which is very rare. So it's also very cost efficient for a facility owner, for example, compared to other heat sources. The maintenance cost on a substation locally in a building is extremely low compared to other different heat sources where you have much more expensive both parts and also maintenance costs. So yeah.
Understand. So we have a lot of these district heating plants. There's a huge amount of energy that's consumed. That's also provided to different urban centres, to businesses, to residential homes via district heating. What's a little bit of a snapshot of where we are today? If you were to summarise our current situation as a district heating industry, how would you summarise that for us?
It's a really good question. I would say that I'm not basically from the district heating business. I joined 5-6 years ago into this as a sales director, and from a sales perspective, I'm very surprised that we are not selling more district heating actually as an energy source, because it is brilliant. I'm not sure if it's due to political decisions or this history we have with district heating. It's not to be too brave, but it's really conservative, and it's a little bit not market driven. It's driven from the inside towards the outside, not from the outside towards the inside, which sales is normally all about. I think that is our biggest challenge, because customer, when you speak about district heating, it's very few people who actually know what district heating is. And I'm quite sure if they knew what it was, they would really put a demand on it. So we are working, Cetetherm as a company, really heavy to work so that we get this pull force from the outside and in. Please ask your energy company, could I have district heating? I would like to connect, create the opportunity. So I think now with the recent, I would say since start of this year, the discussion are changing, but I would say too slow pace. We have now an energy situation which is terrible. We could offload some of the electrical issues, for example, just by putting on more power from towards the district heating and releasing the electrical grid. But then decisions is extremely important.
Yeah, I understand. And you raised a really good point there, and that was one of my next questions. Knowing where we stand today, knowing that not only do we have an energy challenge, let's call it, especially here in Europe as an example, but also looking at the big drivers behind our society at the moment around sustainability, around decarbonisation, and one of the topics that we highlighted at the start of this. Let's connect to that a little bit. How is district heating placed within this conversation around energy efficiency and sustainability, and maybe after where it's placed, where are still some areas that we need to work, and where are some parts of the industry where there are still opportunities for us to improve?
There is a huge part of possibilities in order to connect both facilities like houses and also industrial estate. One of the big benefits we have in this decarbonization is that we can quite easily control and access. And I think developing the new trend now, which we are talking a lot with Siemens about, is this digitalization, because it gives us not only just a substation. We are aiming to have a substation to be smart and intelligent and connectable. We are using artificial intelligence. We are using the latest control systems, because it's all about the balance in the system. District heating is in order to have a low CO2 footprint, we need to have low return temperatures. And Cetetherm as a company has, I would say, that is our number one priority to perform. This gives the energy companies a perfect possibility to be really CO2 neutral in the production. Unfortunately, I would say legislations and in terms of or towards performance are a little bit also, how to say, old. I'm a little bit honest now and direct. You could be that because we see this combination. I think also the ownership of the product, not only the district heating as a product, has to move even forward. Maybe it should be so in the future that the energy companies, the producers, owns also the substations locally in the houses, so that they have a product which they are in total control over. They can do the load balancing on their system in order to achieve the lowest CO2 footprints, all those features which we are aiming for. Use the optimal amount of fuels and so on and so on. So there are a lot of benefits.
Understand.
I'm not sure if
Maybe
that was
we'll
the answer to the question. It's a very long answer.
It's a tough one, but let's dive in just to split it up a little bit, because I think for those out there listening as well, as you mentioned, not everyone understands district heating, and I think from your description already, this is a central energy source that's then distributed, and this has a lot of benefits, managing costs at the consumer, let's call it, but also is quite an efficient technology because we have a lot less, or we can have a lot less energy loss, etc. But you just mentioned there something which I think is important for us to touch on when you mentioned to be the most efficient, to ensure that we're really delivering the right amount of energy and reducing or minimizing waste. It's that return temperature is a good indicator. And maybe to summarize for me, that means that if we have a low return temperature, this means that we're sending out the right amount of energy and we're not getting too much back, let's say, and losing a lot in the call. So if I understand correctly, that's where I'd like to dive in a little bit, because you mentioned digitalization and you mentioned the energy providers. And I think the electricity grid is a really good analogy, because a district heating grid is like an electricity grid. Or at least traditional electricity grids, where we generate energy centrally and then we distribute. And the perfect situation is that we're generating and sending exactly the right amount of energy that the consumer needs at the other end. You mentioned digitalization. How does that help us? How can digitalization help us get the balance right, to not create too little energy, but also not create too much and send it away to be wasted and just sent back for loss?
Digitalization is an excellent tool in many perspectives. To start with, just easy features with digitalization. It's when you go, for example, overview and analysis and getting statistics and values, then we can use the digitalized products in many ways. And that is basic digitalization. It's been going on for 30, 40 years. There is some sort of electronic components in more or less everything right now. But the thing now with the next level of digitalization is that we can also connect this artificial intelligence, for example. We can learn from the data. We previously have collected a lot of data and we have put them somewhere, and maybe in some sort of Excel sheet or made some smaller analysis. Now with the new artificial tools, which we are getting more and more into our products as well, we can optimize this data. And we can see behaviors, we can prevent behaviors. And by doing that, we can add so much more. We're talking about energy reductions, consumptions, maybe 10 to 20% if we use these tools in the correct way. So digitalization, with that tool created, and now we can add the next level of tools, we can do enormously on the whole situation with the CO2 reduction.
Like you just mentioned that evolution, and it's such a similar story that we see in other infrastructure, in other heating and cooling applications, where transparency or understanding what's happening where is something that somehow we've done for some time. We've always, and also over the last years and sometimes decades, we've collected a lot of information, but really using that has been the challenge. So that's a great insight, let's call it, into district heating, where this is maybe some not so different from other parts of the industry, but at the same time, because you're talking really about a network, the impacts that you can have by finding those savings and implementing these new tools can be so big. You mentioned their energy savings, 15 to 20%. That's a great one. Maybe have you got some other examples, some other benefits? If we really do take this direction, if we start making district heating networks more digital, more connected, and more transparent, what are some of the other benefits that you see from your perspective, and what are you already experiencing as Cetetherm out there in the market?
I think if you go back and when we are using this artificial intelligence, one of the strongest tools is actually going back to the production. How much heat do we need to produce? do we need to produce 10 megawatts or 100 megawatts, or can we actually live with half or 70, 80%? By using these tools, we can actually schedule the behavior among the users. And for example, in the morning, everyone wakes up more or less somewhere around 6 o'clock. You have storage of already produced heat in your house. Let's say you have 22 degrees. Of course, you want to maintain those 22 degrees. But for the producers, this challenge in the morning is immense, because you want to maintain those 22 degrees. And in parallel, you want to create tap water for, could be hundreds or thousands or so many people. Just by doing this load balancing between, let's say, 6 and 8 in the morning, you can maybe cut your production with, I don't know, 15, 20%. You will still have 22 degrees in your house, maybe 21.5 until 8 o'clock. But after 8 o'clock, everything is back to normal. People have gone to work, they have taken their showers. You have heating on. When you come back in the evening, still 22 degrees. But just by doing this on every spot all over the globe, reducing, let's say, if it's only 5 or 10%, every city which can reduce their production by, let's say, 5%, you can do the math. It's an enormous amount of energy which could actually, we could stop the production. We don't use it, and that is just by utilizing these digital tools. It's a tough word to say, digitalization.
It's an impossible word to say, even for me.
It is. By using that tool, gives you an enormous power to actually make an impact in a positive way on the environmental situation. And I think I'm quite convinced that the new generations. I'm born late 60s, but when I talk to people who are born late 80s, early 90s, you see a change in their way of thinking. And they really feel for these kind of arguments. Why should we do this? Now, 2022, we are actually creating the tools, setting the platforms, and we, as a company, together with Siemens, really struggling hard to sell them and make people understand that this is just, you buy this product, it's all integrated. It's just like buying a car. It's fully loaded. You have lights, you have a steering wheel, you have a gearbox. It's the same with the district heating now. We actually give our customer substations fully loaded, connectable with all these features as we are discussing. So, yeah.
I love the example that you use, because for me, this highlights a little bit the challenge you just mentioned. This is not a closed system. This is not a standalone system that you think just about. I have a heat generation, and then I have an heat consumption. I just need to know these two things. There are so many other functions that happen within a house, within a building, and then also the users themselves. These are us. We do things differently. Some people like an early shower, some people like a late shower, some people like a long. That behavior plus all the other systems around that can leverage this heat or have an effect on the consumption of this heat, then create this system which is so complex. And as you describe, it can really only be tackled, and we can only find these additional efficiencies leveraging this new technology. What I also liked you mentioned is that the generation now are really that generation that understands, I think, and are also willing to make some of these small changes or some of these small sacrifices. Half a degree for 2 hours in the morning for 10% saving, of course, is maybe something that 30 years ago would not be an okay thing, but today it's the trade-off and the benefit is so strong. So you described a little bit some of the complexities. And you described here that you now have a solution. You now have this fully loaded substation that has this transparency, that has this technology, the connectivity. What are some of the other challenges, or what are some of the things that get in our way today? Knowing that we know what some things that we can do, we have the technology to do so. What are some of the hurdles that we need to overcome as an industry to really start to scale this and see it in every city and every community like you described?
I would say that the biggest challenges we have right now is behavior. We have a very old behavior since 30, 40 years old behavior, which is I would say the biggest challenge when we start talking about this digital platforms with our customers. I would say that the people I mentioned earlier, the people late 80s, early 90s, they understand. I'm not seeing myself as an old man, although I'm born in 1967. But I feel sometimes when I discuss with people in my age, a slightly resistant position, because what's the problem with the things we already have? And I say there is no problem, but it's not good enough anymore. We need to upgrade, and we need to do it fast. And then I think also district heating is extremely engineered. I'm myself is a salesperson. I'm an engineer in the bottom, but still I'm really focused on sales. The curiousness and the willingness to invent something new, and I always say that the wheels is already created, and we don't need to do that again. But we can use it as in maybe a different way. So there are some bricks which has to be rearranged to get this to work, and I'm so confident that the new generation coming now, and really hopeful also that they will bring this forward, because they understand and they want to use it, and they are also looking now. They are bringing kids to this world, and they are also looking, how would the situation be for my children when they grow up, and so behavior and how to say, trust in this new technology, interest of finding out, is it real or is it fiction? Please invite us. I mean, Siemens and Cetetherm, we can do a lot together, and we are doing a lot for the environment already. Please invite us, and then we will explain, because we have real cases, and the partners we are working with today, they are really happy what we have delivering and what we are delivering. Performance is good. Everything is on track as we have discussed. And I also see this constant development of the technology as a really interesting challenge. And things goes fast. And if you're not fast enough, maybe you should step out and bring some new people, new resources, which are a little bit more agile and willing to act on these fast terms. So yeah.
Yeah, it's, what you describe, at least initially, is one of these challenges we see a little bit in a traditionally slow-moving industry, in an engineered industry, where we cannot risk systems not working. I think sometimes we do get stuck with things that do work, but as you mentioned, and I think this is a great snippet, or let's call it quote, to take from this. There's nothing wrong with what we have today, but it's just not good enough anymore. The expectations are higher. The requirement for us to have better efficiency, to have higher performance, to be able to demonstrate and iterate. And like you described, the technology today is not the technology of tomorrow. So having systems that can then take advantages of everything that comes more and more quickly, everything that comes with more and more experience from other parts of the industry and other industries completely that we can leverage. This ability is then driven by the technology to a certain extent, even if it just creates that platform you described to deploy. This is what you need. You mentioned.
Sorry.
Oh, please.
I think also what we need to be better on is also the business model, because we have a very traditional business model when it comes to district heating. Now, some of the energy companies are changing it, but I also think an ownership, as I said earlier in this discussion, has to be much more concrete for the end user. It doesn't matter if it is an industrial end user or a private. The business model has to be much more lean. We are talking a lot about financing together also with Siemens, the platforms and the different solutions in order to make this happen in a good and quick way. So there are a lot of stakeholders involved in this process, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And hey, you link really well to my next question, which is that value proposition, let's call it the business model for the end customers, for the industrial customers, to understand what's going on and what they are also trying to achieve, because we also see individuals in our society looking to reduce their CO2 footprint, let's call it. We see industries and commercial companies making commitments on their net zero targets, and their, for this we need to be able to also give transparency and information to support their business models. You talked about doing something different, trying something new, moving faster, breaking some of the shackles from the history in this part of the industry. How important is that partnership? Because you mentioned here a few times Cetetherm and Siemens working really closely together around this digitalization piece. How important is that partnership for you in your experience as you push this envelope, as you break away from what was always been done in the past?
It's very important. It's absolutely crucial because we have Siemens. It has all these technical features, both in terms of manpower, knowledge, and product, which we are demanding. And Cetetherm, we can produce the substations. And then I think also the experience Siemens has from the digital world and adopting. I mean, Siemens has a long history of being in digitalization of industrial plants and so on and so on. Now we're moving it over to district heating. So all that knowledge is extremely important for us. And Cetetherm is we have been in the business, in the district heating business, for 60 years, and we will stay here for another 60 years. Make sure. And Siemens is also a very strong and company with a long history, and they will be in the business. So those two forces, when we join, we have a really strong concept. And I hope that sends also a message to the customers that this is not just two small companies playing around and trying to create some local business. We are in it for the long run, creating sustainability for all our customers over a very, very long period of time. And that is, I think, quite a strong statement we can make together. Yeah, I would say that's the answer to that question. And I think it's enormously challenging to work because those customers we are working with, both Siemens and Cetetherm, they are looking on features like this. Who are these companies? Financially solid, good ownership structure, and they will be here for another 50 to 100 years, long before we. They will be here after our checking out time also.
The next generation taking over.
Exactly.
I think it's a great point as well. When we talk with a lot of different people in the industry, when you're really striking out and trying something new, when you're really starting to try and bring digitalization into industries, you need those partnerships. You need the knowledge and the experience that you have from Cetetherm's perspective, in this case, around district heating, combined with that automation, that digitalization piece. There's no one answer from one person that does everything. That's for sure. And that longevity, as you mentioned, right at the start, when a community, when a government commits to district heating, this is a long-term investment. There's a huge amount of cost and infrastructure that has to be deployed to enable that, and you can't then think in 5 years' time about the solutions and how you manage this. It has to be long-term.
Exactly.
You at the start, when we talked about the topic for this episode, it was around decarbonisation. You talked then throughout this conversation, we've discussed sustainability and how we need to find efficiencies, how through transparency, digitalisation, we can do it. And we have that next generation of experts coming through, that are now hitting their professional careers and starting to get their hands dirty and bring their new vision and flexibility, perhaps in some cases, or at least understanding of technology into the industry. My last question for today is around that future. If we fast forward, be it 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, what does the district heating industry look like, and how is it different from where we are today?
The district heating as a business, neither district heating likes it or not, they have to join into this digital journey which we are entering now. It will take a couple of more years before it really shapes up, but I see also in Europe now, with the big investments that all the governments are doing, the speed has increased in a really good onto a really good level, I would say. Also, the matureness in business models, ownership, being a competitive heat source for the population is something which I think more and more energy companies are looking into. How to reach out, how to take market shares. Because if I was working on an energy company, I would say that it's my responsibility to take market shares and to make my customers green and be sure that we are producing our energy in the most efficient way, and we are also giving our customers the most efficient solution in the total package. So I think, and I really, on some markets, I already know that this will happen. It's just a matter about time, and I really hope that the political decision are taking in a really rapid way now, because by increasing the presence of district heating, we can also offload the current electrical situation. But we can also add power from district heating also to the electrical grid. So that is how I see it coming now for I would say 3, 5, up to 10 years. But due to the situation, I really hope that the decisions is taken now in that way. We are ready. Both Siemens and Cetetherm are ready. Now it's a market situation. And I also know that the end customers are ready for this. We just need to come up with a good offer.
I understand. And I think that in general, if we look at not just the current energy situation globally, but also this global push towards decarbonisation, sustainability, and the reduction of electrical energy demand, there are many options that build into the solution for this. And all of them, I think speed, like you mentioned, is a great point to finalise on, because I think we're in agreement as a society that this is not something that we can fix over the next 100 years. It's something that needs to be fixed over the next 5 and 10 years. You know, the decades run away quickly. All of a sudden, we're towards the end of 2022, and many of the goals and the aspirations that we have across Europe, but also many other parts of the world, have 2025 or 2030 written on the paper, and there are many things that need to happen between now and then. So I think that the great thing that we've discussed today is there's real opportunity there, and district heating is something that maybe, while not well understood by many, certainly has that huge ability to impact and deliver that efficiency, but above and beyond the technology as it is today, be even better than it is today, and show even more opportunity in the future. Hey, Roger, thanks so much for the conversation. It was really a pleasure. And hey, I wish you the best, yourself, your team, and the colleagues that you're working with your partners and your customers across the world, all the best of luck, because I get the feeling that this digitalization, this connection between the buildings and the heating and district heating networks, the energy networks, are going to be one of those core aspects to unlock the real efficiency opportunities. So here I hope to see many more of these digitalized substations, many more of these digitalized networks in the near future.
Yes, the same. Thank you very much. I really hope that we will end that way. I'm convinced that we are doing a great job together, and we will continue to do that good work. So yeah, thank you very much, Jon.
Thank you, Roger. And a big thanks to everyone out there as well. Thank you so much for listening or watching us. Remember to subscribe wherever you are viewing or listening to this episode. And also remember to like, share, comment, and also reach out to us. Find Roger, I'm sure, on LinkedIn. Find myself as well. Ask some questions and take that opportunity to really start to think, if you are in the district heating space in the industry, to have a little bit of a think and have a little bit of a conversation with Roger and his team or others out there to really understand how we can digitalize the industry and really take the next step from a district heating perspective. Until our next episode, please, we look forward to having a chat very soon. Other than that, we'll see you soon.